for the martini. Like you're like, we just totally disagreed on something. I'm not agreeing with you. I'm not, whatever, saying, oh, James, you're wonderful and you're so smart. And I'm like, God, you're an idiot. Why? I don't, would I say that? We're just being extreme. But then we go have it like, so how does that lead then into like the rest of the night or like the next morning? Yeah, it doesn't. You're like really good about just shutting
No,
up.
I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. Like, let's go drink. But tomorrow, if you want to start a fight again, hey, we can.
Plenty of time for that.
Welcome to the Business Success by Design podcast, where you'll learn everything you need to know about building a thriving business. This isn't theory. It's hardcore strategies and tactics designed to help you win. Join us as top business coaches, marketers, and business insiders pull back the curtain on what really works in building the business you want and what's just complete BS. And now, sit back and listen to rockstar host James Lawson, he's the one with a funny accent, and Angela Inzerillo as they go deep, cut through the crap, and get to the core of making your business work for you.
We're here. Finally. Right? Episode 1 of our new podcast. Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
You want to tell people what it's called?
Not just business.
Not just business.
What do you think? I think it's pretty good.
Not just business. What?
It's not just business.
So this came about from an episode we did on our Business Success by Design podcast, which was talking about how we left corporate, right, and moved into entrepreneurship. And so what happened is we got a whole bunch of questions from, believe it or not, other people who were thinking about or either working with their spouse. And they were like, how the hell are you guys doing this after 16 years, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how this podcast came about. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time on this one, answering some questions. But the whole idea for the podcast overall is just to give insights to other people who might be working with their spouse, if nothing else, so they can understand that whatever they're going through, it ain't just them, right? There's a lot of good, a lot of bad, and some ugly in everything that we do.
Absolutely.
So that being said, before we start, bit of background. Tell the listeners and the viewers how we got started if they hadn't seen the original
podcast. Okay, a little bit of history. Sure. So, I mean, you remember this. James and I both came out of corporate America. We were both in corporate for like 25 plus years, 25. Sales and marketing experts, successful in sales. And right around the 2008, 2009, I don't know, somehow corporate didn't want us anymore. I'm not really sure why or how, but we happened to do very, very well. It really was just downsizing, reduction in force, that kind of thing. And so I had a really good year. I got a great severance. Things were happening personally in our lives. And we actually got approached by a really good friend of my father's, Sig, who said, hey, have you ever thought about entrepreneurship? So it was really the first time I know for me.
And what was your response?
No. Well, my response, actually, my thought was, I think, my immediate thought was a franchise. My immediate thought was Subway and
McDonald's,
that kinds of things. And yeah.
Yes, but I would have eaten the profit.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been good. French fries.
No.
And, or Five Guys was one, actually.
Five Guys, yeah.
Although that would have been, anyway, that would have been a whole different scenario.
Yeah, that would have been really tough.
So it got us just exploring options versus just doing the usual, right? Brush up your resume, call some but calling old friends, looking up jobs and just getting another gig is really what I just thought about, right? So we explored it. We did disc assessments of ourselves, and we actually started looking at franchises from mobile dog grooming. There's, I don't know, at the time, this is back in 2009, there was like home health. There was so many different 24-hour fitnesses. I remember we looked up maids, the maids one, just to explore like what fit our lifestyle and our vision. And I think it helped us get an idea of like, shit, we asked ourselves some serious questions about what do we really want to be doing for we didn't know how long it was going to last. So fast forward, we were best suited for a business coaching franchise. We were an advocate in the very beginning for a few years, and that's how we got started. And we just thought it'd be easy. We're like, oh, we're smart. We're in sales. We're in marketing. We didn't know, honestly, what business ownership was. I just thought, okay, I'm going to invest in a business where we get education, where they're going to tell us what to do. We're going to do it all the right way. It's a franchise, of course. There's a model. There's a system. It's easy. Not so easy, folks. So yeah, that's how we got started. And we did have a coach. Of course, we worked for a coaching franchise or worked with one. We've always had a coach, but we'll talk about that. And then we got into it and just felt like, hey, let's do what they say. They say join your local your local chambers of commerce. We investigated it. We got super involved in the community. We're chamberaholics, so we're very involved in our chambers. But yeah, that's how we got started.
So the bottom line is, we got into something we really weren't sure what it was.
Yeah.
It took us a while to find our feet because we thought we knew everything, and it turns out that we didn't. We knew we didn't want brick and mortar, right? That was a biggie for us, I think.
Yeah. The investment
back
was
in
just
the day.
something we weren't interested in.
But yeah, so that was back in 2009, and we've been doing it ever since. So now that people have the background, let's talk about you and me, all right, and what it's like working together as a husband and wife and business partner. So we got a lot of questions.
Okay, yeah.
In, right, for that last podcast episode that we did. And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of go through this and just kind of see what kind of answers we give from each other.
Yeah.
Right.
We didn't practice, folks. Just
this is
questions.
she doesn't have a clue about what these questions are. It'll be interesting to hear your view on a couple of things and how that is my view. So let's start with this. How do you play to each other's strengths, and do you naturally fall into certain roles in the business?
Yeah. So you want me to start, right?
Yeah,
so,
go.
Yeah. So I think you and I are pretty clear on what each other's strengths are. It's not until we sat down and I remember we had to do something like develop an org chart, and we're like, what the heck? Let's just do two of us.
Yeah.
But you have to develop an org chart. So once you start looking at the different roles and responsibilities it takes to run a business, it became pretty clear. James is really, really good at being a strategic thinking, high level. He's really good, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but he's passionate about the coaching. He's really good at it. It was a natural for him to kind of fall into those roles. For me, I was more of the networker. I'm really detail oriented, operational stuff. So it kind of felt very natural but we didn't think about it. We just kind of felt naturally. And then as we started building the business, it's like, oh, this is what you're going to do. This is what I'm going to do. It became pretty clear. And it was, anyway, we played to our strengths as well.
Yeah. But so there was the strengths part, but there's also the part that we knew what we each didn't want to do.
Yes, there's that.
Right, in the business. And I think it became pretty apparent that these during the franchise, been like, oh my God, like there's two of you, you should be coaching, the two should be at networking, the two should be doing client development or prospecting and blah, blah. And I'm like, no.
Wait a minute.
No. And so knowing what we didn't really want to get involved in each other, like you were like, I don't want to coach.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like, I don't want to have to go and network all the time and meet people and try and be, whatever. And so there was that, right? So I think, yes, there was a natural tendency from a strength and maybe even a skill set standpoint.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which was fine because it actually played out that those things were the things we were good at and wanted to do anyway, right? Versus trying to go and do something. Because I do remember, like, back in the early day when we were both out networking a lot, I was like, this is, like, stressful. And you're like, this is so much fun. I'm like, oh.
But then there's the aspect of the business. Yes, it's fun, but there's things that you need to do. Like you need to track your leads and you need to have certain, I don't say operational things, but you need to do certain things that are functional that neither one of us want to do, right? But you have to figure it out because you're running a business. So thank God we had the coaching though.
Yeah. No, yes.
I probably would have never, developed a tactical marketing plan, or I would have never said, oh, what is my sales conversion? Like didn't really understand. Okay, I've got to meet 20 people to get, 5 business cards to get 1 call, whatever it is. For us, it was at the time, I think we had to get like 22 leads. I had to get 10 appointments and then we had like 2 clients, something like that.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's very important to know that kind of stuff. So you're working towards the same goal.
Which by the way, for people that are listening and watching, that might sound obvious, but for 2 people that come out of corporate where we weren't generating leads. Right. We were, it was account management. I was running teams in Europe and, we were working with like multi-million-dollar organizations. We're not out there generating leads.
Yeah.
What we are doing is getting deep into these companies engineering and design and stuff to see what's coming next.
I mean, we have pipelines. I mean, I've been in sales my whole life, so I've known
Right.
about pipelines. I've been in inside sales, so I've kind of known the sales pipeline stuff. But when you really have to manage it when you own your own business. Because, oh, by the way, you don't get PTO, right? You take a week off, folks. You don't get paid,
don't get
right?
paid. Yeah.
I mean, we're building a business now where there's recurring revenue. So we've built a business that gets us paid, if you will.
Right.
But starting out,
in the beginning, no,
it's really hard. So when you get stress, then that leads to just not being focused, and then you're just kind of you're struggling, right? And then you can't focus. You're not in a powerful state, and then just the world, primal state just doesn't make you have creative thinking and doing all that you're good at.
Right.
So anyway,
So yeah, cool. All right, so I think we're on the same page there. Let's take a question from the tough stuff.
already,
Yeah. Why not?
there's a lot of this.
So let's be real about how you handle things if you totally disagree on something in business.
Should I start again?
Sure.
So there's a lot of times we disagree. So James and I think, are really clear on like the end goal, right? We both
Right.
know whatever it might be. We know what the life, we'll get to this hopefully later, but we know the lifestyle we want. We know the end game, all of that kind of thing, like vision. That's really important. We may know as simple as like, okay, we want to run a webinar, next week or in 2 weeks or what have you. So we both know, and it'll generally be on this kind of message, especially now, 16 years later, we really pretty much have a good idea of messaging, but how we get there might differ. Right. So was that the question? What was the question?
It was.
Okay.
Like how we handle when we are.
Yeah, disagree. So he might say something about the title or these bullets or something. And I'll be like, I don't know where he's coming from. But like, that's probably a bad example, but sometimes it's maybe a layout of a page. I know it's not a big deal, but it's a diametrically opposite and we might disagree. So sometimes you just have to say, you know what? It's what you want. Like, it's not going to kill me to do what he wants most of the time. So if we're really disagree on something, unless I'm in a pissy mood and I just want to hold my ground, for the most part,
I'm not sure that I win many of those arguments.
True.
Right?
Well, I think sometimes you can't be emotional. And I'm more logical. So I'll be logical about everything. Whereas you're like, I just like the way it looks, or I saw somebody else do it. And I'm just like, okay, but I put more logic where you put more emotion. Passion, I don't know. So I always that makes sense.
Well, I think I just get pissed off and I don't get my own way.
That's true too. Oh, that's right. He does the sandbox thing, and I go, "I'm not playing in the sandbox." So then he leaves.
Right.
He goes, "Fine." I hate when he does
and we both know that's something that new James is working on. All right, is
2025, by the way, folks. New James.
In that, looking at certain things and not getting pissy about something.
Oh, there goes the light. Go fix the light. No, so yeah, you will get pissy. I don't know. It's really easy to stand your ground. I mean, it's like any kind of time you're in an argument. Do you really want to win? Is it worth it? And most of the times it's like, it's just not really worth it. Unless it's like anything in life, right? When you cut off somebody driving, something else is going on. And I'll say sometimes like, is there something else going on? Or you just step away. Hey,
right.
You know what? Let's just do this tomorrow.
Right. And I think that's generally one of the things that we probably do is go, you know what, we probably need to come back and revisit this later. And
it could be.
Go drink a martini and forget about it.
That always helps.
Right. So yeah, I think for the handling of the disagreement, I think that's part of where I think a lot of people, when they get into this, don't really understand how often they really are going to disagree on things. I mean, I don't know that anyone's like 100% totally aligned with each other all the way down the track.
No way. Nor should you be. I mean, it's a lot of times that it'll be, wow, I didn't even think about it that way. Right. So,
So cool. All right.
I will emphasize though, the little things, just give up on them or, share in who wins or not. But the big thing is the vision. And if you're diametrically opposite on the vision, that's just something you got to do really, really early on, which is what we did.
Yeah. We got clear about that and made sure we were both aligned on where we wanted to go.
Yeah.
More from a lifestyle standpoint.
Yeah.
and then back engineer that into okay, well, what does the business need to look like for that to happen? And even though the individual steps in the business, we might get to the end result differently. We know what the end result is, right? And so I think for us, it's just been that case of, to your point, is Angie's going to get detailed and she's going to look at things 25 times. James is going to look at it once and go, yeah, it looks good to me, let's run with it. And if it doesn't work, then we'll fix it. But I don't want to spend too much time trying to get it too perfect because it still might not work.
Right. We said, and over the years, for me, that was something that's changed. I don't know if this is a question or whatever, but
No, but I think it's important.
I am a detail oriented, what's it called, perfectionist. Excuse me. Don't do anything until it's right. So over the years, I've learned, hey, you know what? 80, although it kills me, 80% is okay.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. And what do you always say? Something about something perfection. Don't let something.
Don't let perfection get in the way of progress.
There you go. It's true. Yeah. And something patents saying you always say all the time. So he says it 1,000 times. You think I know by now, but anyway, what is the patent one?
So the patent one is, an imperfect plan violently executed today is better than a perfect plan executed next week.
Yeah. So.
Right. So words to the wise, and for you guys that are listening, is don't let perfection get in the way. Figure something out, get in the market, try it. Doesn't work, come back, figure out what was wrong, fix it, try it again. Because that's what business is. For the most part, the business is just trying shit, seeing what works, refining it, and moving on.
So because this is not just business, let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
So we're, whatever. We totally disagree. And
it's not just business.
It's not just, yeah. And I think I know the answer that you would say, but how much of this then do you take when we are having a martini? We just totally disagreed on something. I'm not agreeing with you. I'm not, whatever, saying, oh, James, you're wonderful and you're so smart. And I'm like, God, you're an idiot. Why? I don't, would I say that? We're just being extreme. But then we go have it so how does that lead then into the rest of the night or the next morning? Yeah, it doesn't. You're really good about just shutting.
No, I'm done. Yeah. Let's go drink tomorrow if you want to start a fight again. Hey, we can.
Plenty of time for that,
right? But because there is that boundary line, and again, this is important, right? So we're saying it's not just business, and it's not, because there's a point where, as a husband and wife, during the day you are in business together, and you're still husband and wife, but the balance, I think there's a shift in balance, and that just could be me from being, hey, business partners till 5 o'clock, and then at 5 we're back to husband and wife again.
Yeah.
And whatever happened pre 5 p.m., leave it at the door. But I'm not carrying that shit into our life.
Exactly.
Right? If we want to have a cocktail and sit outside on the deck and enjoy ourselves and enjoy each other's company and talk about other shit. You want to pick it back up at 9 o'clock in the morning? I'm all there.
Oftentimes,
I'm good.
James will get up early or whatever, and he's working on something, and then, oh, funny, the landing page just looks just like I wanted it to. Because a lot of times you'll be like, she probably was right. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. We can go to the next question.
Right. So back to strengths, right? And things in fault. So that, I don't know, it's a strength, but I do have a tendency to react in the moment.
Right.
And so sometimes it does take me a little bit time to reflect on the conversation, and I'll do that in my own head.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. And later on, I'm going to go, okay, maybe it's not that bad. Or, at the very least, okay, let's try it Angela's way, and if it falls flat on its face, I'll go, see what Angela told you. But never do that. And so, that's really interesting. That's really fun. Oh, here's a good one.
Oh, God.
Right. How do you handle stress? And how do you handle stress differently? And if so, how do you support each other when things get crazy?
You want to start?
Yeah, I'm going to take this one because I'm going to say something that you're going to go, oh, really? That's what you do? Because it's not something that I verbalize.
All right, go answer the question. I want to hear it.
And this is a very recent thing, right? And it's not something we really talk about, but it's something that I hope I'm attuned to from a stress point, which is, and it was, her name will come to me in a second. But she had said that the biggest myth in marriage is that it's 50-50. Bullshit. It's not.
Right.
Because there's never 50-50 in this. And so when we get to a point where, like, I see maybe you getting overly stressed, my immediate thing is to go, okay, what can I do to try and alleviate that, right? So the way that this individual described it was, so Angie's maybe running at 30% of the 100. And I'm like, well, internally I'm going, fine, I'm going to have to pick up 70%.
Right.
So I need to pick up some slack, whatever that might look like. And likewise, if I'm losing my shit on something, right, whatever that might be, in my head, I'm going, Angela's attuned to that. And so she knows that she's going to pick up the extra slack,
right,
when I'm not quite hitting or firing on all cylinders. And so that's one way of, like, dealing with the stress and handling without having a verbalization about, hey, how are you feeling? Which is what this individual was talking about. And this might be a thing for some people to do. I don't know if it would work for us, but if I says to you where are you sitting right now? And you went, I'm sitting at 60%. I'm like, okay, I'll pick up the other 40. Like, we're good. Like, don't worry about it. Or you're like, hey, I'm at 20% or I'm at 80. I'm like, great, because I'm sitting at 20 or 30 or 40. I need you to pick up that slack for me. And so there's never a situation where it's completely 50-50.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? And then there's martinis. Martinis play a big role in our after kind of
tea, which also, by the way, plays a big role.
But I think that's how we support each other. Like, when things are getting a little nutty. And by the way, the other thing we do, which we do, is we jump in a car and we head down to Florida for 10 days.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Diana and Billy.
Right? I mean, we get out of town. We see, you know what, if things are getting a little too crazy around.
Scenery, yeah.
And it's like, sometimes you just need to get the hell away.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right?
Get a reset.
You can get a reset. And sometimes just a change of scenery is sometimes all you need to, like, decompress.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think stepping away from it, I agree with that for a moment or whatever it is. I deal with stress more. Again, it's just the whole logical thing. I need to see progress. I might just go pick up the vacuum or clean because I just need to see progress or something.
Right.
So I get stressful. I need to get away. Probably most people, right? You need to get away from the situation. So we'll go walk the dogs. We'll make a cup of tea. Yeah. So we kind of step away from it. But hopefully it doesn't, again, go back to the outside of the business world. Just doesn't bleed into that. And it does. Sometimes, of course, it does. There's that.
It's always going to bleed in.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's how much you allow it to bleed in and then affect you is the big question. But, more so husband and wives. If you've got a business and, like, say, the wife, or if it's the wife as a business, husband is working full time, that business might bleed in a little bit, but it's not something that you're in it 24/7. Husbands and wives, we're in this 24/7.
Yeah.
But we have to create the boundaries, and we do create boundaries that say, at this certain time we stop, we go take a break, or we go outside, we sit on the deck, we have a cocktail, or out get friends over, whatever it is. But be very, very conscious of making sure that you're creating time away from the business to still be in that husband and wife role.
And it's okay. I have an easier time with this because I'm able to say during certain times of the day, if you're, if I give you grief about like something you're supposed to follow up with, let's just say you didn't, again, trying to get you to do things my way, not your way, but sometimes it needs to happen. By doing that, I'm just like, well, you're James and you said you're going to do it. And I'm just holding you accountable to that versus it's really hard because it's like, it's James, the employee or the partner versus James, the husband, because you don't want to it's really hard to tell your spouse or your wife, hey, you're slacking, but I don't mean it negatively. And I think sometimes you're just a little sensitive and you take it that way. Whereas I'm just like,
mean.
I'm working on it. I'm not as gentle sometimes because I'm like, oh, meanwhile, anyway, yeah. So I think it's important that, because we are both employees of this business.
You're right.
And, it's not like suddenly this income is coming in one way
Nothing wrong with some tough love.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. Right.
All right,
And I think it's crucial that both of you agree that that's going to happen from time to time.
Yes.
Right. So that's fine. You're getting that.
Wait, so what sections we had? The positive.
I've taken good stuff, one from tough stuff, and
What's the
one
other
from practical, which was a stress one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here's a good one. Are there any speak properly, James. Are there any routines or tools that help you stay on the same page and avoid burnout?
Well, I think we're mentioning vodka and cocktails and martinis a lot, but so tools. So to prevent burnout, that's different. To keep us on track, I'm saying sometimes we use project management tools like Trello. We have strategic meetings every Monday, and then we try to do one every day, a touch point at some point. So we have tools to help us manage business.
Tactical day-to-day running business.
But what's the other one? Tools to manage stress?
Tools to help you stay on the same page, which is
stay on the same page, right? Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
And avoid burnout. The avoid burnout thing is interesting because I think I look at burnout as being self-imposed, right? I think when people say I'm burnt out, I'm like, well, it's your fault. Like, I'm sorry, but
gotcha.
get your act together, right? And so the burnout thing,
tough love.
Well, yeah, maybe, but and to an extent, I think stress is a little bit self-induced as well. And stress usually happens when you're getting so focused on things that are maybe a little bit too much outside your control, but worrying about it, right? Like the environment we're in today, right? There's a lot of shit going on that's completely outside our control, and we're all getting stressed over it. Not a lot we can do about most of what's going on. But from the business side, yeah, I think a lot of that is self-induced. But again, if we feel we're getting to that point, it's like, oh, crap, we just need a change of pace.
Yeah.
We jump in the car, we drive to Florida, we spend 7, 8, 9 days with Bill and Diana, and we decompress, and we come back, and we start again.
I think one other thing too that came to mind was like James will say, so I noticed on the calendar this week that you've got a massage and your nails done. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
So as you're talking about like routine for self-care or whatever it's called, I'm getting my nails done. You know, it's really important in my massage, and it's good for health. It's good for wellness. And I say it to you too. So those are some other things that you have to also make sure that you schedule.
That's what I mean by being self-imposed. I mean, those are things that you can everyone can find time for that.
Right.
Like everybody who's got a business. And if you can't find time for it, you need to look at your business, because now your business is out of control.
Yeah. I hear a lot of people, I mean, this is not necessarily just husband and wife or partners, but individual business owners that say, yeah, I do. I take my walk at lunch, or I take my break. And that's important to keep doing, because it's hard. It's so easy to get consumed by your desk and email.
Mm-hmm.
So I could sit by my desk all day. I mean, honestly, I get my watch to remind me to stand or what have you. I was like, man, it's been 15 minutes already. Get my butt up, make a cup of tea, so that's important to stick to some of those routines. Sometimes you put something on the calendar that gets done.
Yeah.
So if you don't make that massage appointment or nail appointment, whatever, it's not happening.
So one of the things that we did we hadn't done it so much now, but back in the early days when we started looking at our annual plan, we would put all the holidays in first.
Yeah.
Like we're taking like every 90 days we'd block out a weekend. Hey, we're doing this, right? And we'd actually block the holidays.
Yeah.
And then we'd fit everything else around the vacations.
Yeah. That was a great concept. We're like, wow. That's
versus people fill out their calendar and they're looking for gaps to take a vacation. It's like, no, get your vacations on your schedule first.
I know some, again, people that have businesses that have the spring breaks or the kids and those kinds of things. But for us, and, I don't know, most business owners, I mean, we've got the 4-legged kids here. I mean, your kids obviously are in Scotland and your granddaughter, but we are dealing with, our own schedules, which it could be 24/7, 365.
Sure.
Unless we say, you know what, we're going to do that break we do roughly every 90 days. We're doing something.
Cool. All right. I'm going to leave there's some really cool ones in here, but they're very time consuming, I think, to answer.
We'd love some feedback from you folks, because again, we're hoping that we're providing value. Our whole goal is not just to talk about like us and ourselves. It's not about us. It's like, what is the shit we've learned over 16 years
Yeah.
that could be valuable for other people. It's all about shortening the time to whatever, to get to that lifestyle that, we all want, at the end. Well, for us, it's,
But also understand that what you might, if you are working with your spouse, what you might be going through,
yeah.
don't think this is you. It is such a dynamic working with your spouse that is unlike anything else you're going to do, because of the way that it does bleed into your personal life. And, to your point, it's like, well, what happens when you're in a fight, or what happens when you're in a disagreement? It's 5:00. Let's resume tomorrow at 9, right?
Which,
Back,
just saying,
right back.
getting close to
Yeah,
the
get back to
time,
the thing.
folks.
So here's what we'd say to you. Listen, if you want to hear more of this, go ahead and like and subscribe, and you'll get notified when we launch a new episode. I am not sure what their goal schedule is going to be quite like, but this is going to be, at least once every couple of weeks. I want to get one of these.
Yeah, we'll figure out the cadence.
We'll get the cadence on it.
You'll get notified, so we'd love to.
Yeah, let us know what you think. And if there's any questions that you have about this, working with your spouse or your business or relationship with your spouse, drop it in comments or send us an email, and we'll load it in, and we'll give you just what it is for us.
Yeah.
Right. We're not saying this is what it's going to be like for you, but this is how we deal with stuff.
And what we see, we've dealt with a lot of partnerships as well.
Yeah.
A few husbands and wives, right? But other partners. So we can also sense what others are doing out there too.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Cool.
great. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. We'll talk soon
Yeah.
again, and let us know what you think.